And my staff were a bit concerned when I actually sent them a message on my BlackBerry this morning because they were about to launch a report and they were asking permission to do something, and I said, "No worries, mate." And they thought, "Oh, heck." Now, in the true act of participation, I would invite all of you to stand. Turn around once. Stretch up. Thank you, and sit down. I've spent many an hour when I was studying part-time through 8 years of firstly with Polytech and then university, as well as working full-time, and I used to find it a real struggle by the time it was about 8 o'clock at night and you're listening to this lecturer talking about data modelling and financial portfolio theory, etc., and I used to doze off. So I hope that I can provide an entertaining and practical experience of what we're doing here in New Zealand. Now, we are fortunate to have a mandate to do this work, and I'll demonstrate what that is. In our e-government strategy, we have that by 2020, that there will be opportunities for people to engage with government using innovative technologies. And that is all leading or contributing to a world-class state services. Now, I've reported many times through to ministers, through to senior managers, to management teams in this area, because people are rightly feeling nervous. You know, they're thinking about, are we changing our Westminster style of representative democracy? And so I go back to this mandate because if we're going to have world-class state services, how do you do that? And each one of you is a citizen in your own right, in your own community, and if you have services and policies that affect you, then you have the opportunity to influence that. Now, what might that look like in 2020? If we just look at some of these lozenges, I was told to cut them down because I actually had more than this and I could keep on going on for ad infinitum. But for example, if we talk about awareness, if I'm aware as a citizen, this means I know about the opportunities that I have to participate with government. And then I can set up my own My Government page, which is the equivalent of a My Google page or My Yahoo. Are any of you using those? Yeah. So if you think about that sort of space where you might actually want to find out what's happening in certain areas of government that are affecting you, you might want to continue to receive alerts as a sole trader, for example, of when there's likely to be changes in legislation, tax legislation, what are my compliance requirements. And you can set up this page which can actually enable you to do that electronically. The capability that I have would be that I have the knowledge and the skills to participate through different channels, and that I understand that the information that is being made available to me. So government is shifting from sending out a 300-page document saying, we would like your views, thank you. And you're thinking, well, hang on a moment, I don't understand the language that you're putting this to me. And how can I add any value? Where do you want me to fit in my opinion? And what are you going to do with it? The citizen can see that you are coordinated, and you being government are coordinated. One of the challenges we had is we received a letter that I had to write for our minister, and it's from the National Council of Women. And she said, do you know that over Christmas period there were 15 government agencies were all consulting, and they had a closing date of the end of January. Now, as a council, what we are responsible for is going out and seeking the opinion to then contribute to what you're seeking. Now, come on, government, wake up. There's an opportunity for you 15 agencies to start talking together to work out what are you consulting on, who are you consulting with, how do you want people to engage. So that's where we have a real challenge, is to actually provide for that space to happen. You, being government, is culturally competent, and by cultural competence we mean demonstrated understanding of generation, gender, ethnic origin, spiritual beliefs, disability, occupation and socio-economic status in the ways that you engage with us as citizens. So, for example, in a clinical setting, it is critical for many Māori that whānau, being their extended family, are included in decision making. So it's taking that into account. I can see a difference in the service or policy delivery that's arising from my input as a citizen. I can see the results of evaluation, that there's demonstration value for money. We're not expecting you to build it and we will come. So that's the danger in this space, is that we provide many different models in different ways for people to engage, and we build different technical platforms, and we'll say, there we go. And then surprisingly enough, people don't turn up because we're not thinking in that space of using that tool to enable many different ways for us to have a conversation. The technology is changing, and we're being made familiar by what Lucas was covering for us this morning. So 90%, for example, of young New Zealanders have mobile phones, and they have several phones. So my 17-year-old son, he has 2 phones. He has a Vodafone and a telecom phone, and he takes every advantage of it, given that he's got a very limited budget, of picking up the best deal, and he communicates with different people in different ways. And so I'd constantly text him, trying not to be a pain in the neck as a mother, of course, but it's a way that we actively communicate. I catch the train in the morning and I see the kids are texting to each other across the aisle, which is a bit disturbing, but it does happen. If we think about the internet, the social networks that are being set up, are any of you in Facebook or MySpace? Yeah, using Bebo? Yeah, we have Trade Me in New Zealand, where that's just increased exponentially, where people are selling and trading. And they're also rating people who are in that space as well. So that's a new dynamic about establishing a trusted community when you're actually selling or buying wares. So what does this mean for government? It means that there is an increasing expectation on a 24/7 government. And you think, oh, heck, does that mean we have to be here 24/7? If we're starting to get into these social networks, if we're starting to open up a wiki for public consultation, I, as a mother, probably won't go there until about 10 o'clock at night. And yes, I do have a life, but by the time I've put the kids to bed, that is when I want to interact and find out what's happening and perhaps put in my 10 cents worth of certain matters that it might be affecting me with local government services that they might be delivering. So it's acknowledging that that is going to happen. So the time shifts, the location shifts. It doesn't matter whether I'm in Australia or whether I'm in Wellington as to where I'm participating. So we're having to start shifting our thinking in this space. Now, you won't be able to read this from the back if you're visually challenged like I am, but in those booklets that are on your table, there is a page there about the voices that we were hearing. And some of those voices, one of our young people who's 17-year-old was saying to us, just jump on the website, click a button, and suddenly we're participating with government. And because we like everything to be instant, that's why we carry our phones around with us all the time, and that's from a secondary school student. What do the expectations mean? That New Zealanders' trust in public services depends on their confidence that public servants do a good job, that the public service providing services that meet their needs and that they will be treating people fairly, and the public service is actually going to admit responsibility when it makes mistakes. And we need to have an environment where you can make mistakes and learn from them. If you don't, then that's something that we have to deal with. These are some visual photos just to demonstrate that we do actually have a community of practice. It's not entirely virtual. And we started with my connections back in December 2006. And Jane was mentioning my background in futures. And one of the things that I was learning through the futures thinking and planning was they said diversity. Go to the local jeweller down the road and ask him or her about ideas around services or policies. And you'll be surprised about the diverse ideas that you can actually get through that. So taking that forward into this community of practice, I went out beyond government. Central and local government are involved. We have academia involved. We have representatives from civil society. We have businesses. We have intermediaries. We also have a large number of international people who are in that space. And I would hope that you would actually come and tackle me at the end of this and sign up to the community of practice, because you're welcome to join as well.